All right, we're going to call the Tuolumne County Transit Agency meeting to order. For that, this will be the opportunity for oral communication to allow the public to speak on any item not on the printed agenda. Any such public comment? Seeing none, moving to the consent calendar. Approval of the September 9, 2015 meeting minutes. Item 3, consider canceling November meetings due to the holidays and lack of agenda items.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Now, regular agenda. Wow, this is unusual. Reports.
Straight to reports.
Carl's smiling.
Carl came to a good one to get out of here. Whoopee. I just want to give a report real quick that we did release our Tuolumne County Transit Advertising Sales Program Management Contract. This RFP will provide us an opportunity to hire somebody, a person or agency, to do some of the sales marketing for our buses. As you might have noticed, we have the new graphics on our buses that we've talked about extensively, and enough space on those buses to sell advertising on both sides as well as the back side. And this will allow us to hire somebody to do that work. We've seen this work in other neighboring jurisdictions, and we think it'll be successful. We've got some preliminary estimates to generate about $35,000 in advertising sales from this program. And I just want to mention that it's out. If somebody is interested in the public, they can download a copy of the RFP from our TCT website. And the deadline for submissions of proposals is November 20th.
So is that essentially only the white space available?
Well, we're kind of limiting it within certain parameters.
Okay.
We are, I should probably mention as a side, we're not totally satisfied with the look of the buses, and we've had some concerns expressed that it's a little hard to distinguish them coming down the road. So we're going to add some more Tuolumne County Transit graphics to the front, particularly up by the top reader board and maybe the doors of the bus. So we're going to kind of limit certain areas. And Carlin's been very helpful with the this RFP, and specifically helping us define what areas are allowable and what sizes on each bus can be used for marketing and sales.
Okay. Don't get too much on there. There's one bus that looks like a graffiti thing flying through town. What bus that is?
You're thinking of our ski bus there.
Supposed
Oh,
to read it
man.
and stop, Ron.
Yeah, Ron, you're not supposed to read it while it's moving.
And then one more report, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Ron always asks us about our size of our buses. And as some of you know, we have new technology on our buses called Next Bus that allows us to monitor where the buses are at any given time using GPS. You can watch them on our website. Carl got to see that earlier this week on our big screen in our office. And we can at the same time monitor how many passengers are on buses. Now, not every bus has a passenger counter on it, but we rotate them through the system. We got them on one large bus, one trolley bus, one smaller bus. And I just wanted to point out, Ron, you're always asked about our size of our buses. Are they too big? We range in capacity utilization of the seats available between 22% and 70% on our buses during the peak periods of the day, because that's what you got to size your bus for. I would note also that the ones that are up around 70% capacity at peak times are our biggest buses on the more popular routes. And what we've also noticed is the ones that have 22% peak capacity are the smallest buses on the least utilized routes, like a Tuolumne route and some of those routes. So and you've asked that question a fair amount. I want to make sure we got you an answer back on that.
Okay.
And I think the peak number was 22 actual riders on a 30 passenger bus. I personally have been on there when there's 23 passengers on there. And I would also point out that our ridership has declined about 20% from its peak when the gas prices were very high a few years ago. So we do have some reserve capacity if we hit high gas prices again.
Okay. Any other reports? Carl, nothing at this point?
Well, I'm not sure whether to bring this up now or later. I'll bring it up at the next The next section.
TCTC? All right, so if there's no further items on the Tuolumne County Transit Agency, we will adjourn this meeting. Give us a few seconds to flip over. Excuse me. All right, we'll call the Tuolumne County Transportation Council meeting to order. And at this time, oral communication to allow the public to speak on any item not on the printed agenda. Anyone wishing to make public comment? Seeing none, I'll move to the consent calendar. Item 2, approval of the September 9, 2015 meeting minutes. Item 3, consider canceling November meetings due to the holidays and lack of agenda items. And item 4, approval of the TCTC Staff Services Analyst 1 and 2 job description and salary range. And any public comment? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Chairman, I move that we approve the consent calendar. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Item 5 of the regular agenda, public hearing to receive input on potential transit needs that may exist within the Tuolumne County region and that may be reasonable to meet in fiscal year 2016-17.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Transportation Development Act provides funding to the Tuolumne County Transportation System. It's a core cent of the 6-cent sales tax that we get. And before we can make allocations, we're required under the Transportation Development Act to do a public hearing requesting input from the public on transit needs that are not presently being met by our current transit system. We also consult our Social Service Transportation Advisory Council on what those transit needs might be. As some of you know, that is a statutorily created advisory body to you, made up of representatives of various social service organizations such as the senior agencies, Area 12 Agency on Aging, disability advocates, people of limited means advocates like ACTA and whatnot. They all give input and sit in on these meetings and give input to the needs. And we have been consulting with the advisory council accordingly. Now we did advertise this meeting tonight as an opportunity for people to give input, and we offered free rides on our buses for anyone that wants to come and give input and may not have a ride to the service or to this meeting. So we would encourage you to open the public hearing and receive public comment. Now, before doing so, I want to point out that you also directed us to do additional outreach at 2 locations this year, one at the Groveland Community Hall and another one at the Sonora Senior Center. And Tyler was our representative at those meetings, and I asked him to go ahead and give you an update on what input we received at those meetings. And then after that, I encourage you to open the public hearing.
Thank you. On September 30th, we met in Groveland at the Community Hall, and on October 6th, we met at the Senior Center. Between the 2 meetings, we had about 10 attendees. It was very lightly attended in Groveland and also in Sonora. Excuse me. From those 2 meetings, we collected 3 requests for service on unmet transit needs forms. One was an individual looking for service to the Tuttletown area, which currently we serve in partnership with Calaveras Transit, which goes along Highway 49 in that area. And then we had also got a request from an individual to serve Blackberry Oaks, not as an on-demand stop, but as a regularly scheduled stop. Blackberry Oaks is right off of Lions Mountain before you get to the Greenlee Road intersection there. And then the last request we got was to consider bringing back the trolley service in the summer, but instead of charging for it, to use it as a free service to encourage locals and tourists to move around the community. So those are the three formal comments that we received to date. We may have comments here today, and I checked with dispatch and the drivers. They didn't have any additional comments. From here, we'll meet with the Social Services Transportation Advisory Council on Friday to review each of the comments that we've received, and then to put together a findings report for the Transit Agency and the Transportation Council to consider adopting before sending it off to Caltrain's Division of Mass Transportation. We didn't get any email requests specific to the unmet transit needs. I mean, we are regularly throughout the year collecting comments and addressing issues as they come up. I think that's a big part of the reason why, during this specific push for comments, we don't necessarily see a huge influx, because we're really out in the community day in and day out. Part of the Commission on Aging, we meet with the Social Services Transportation Advisory Council, the Senior Network, attend meetings in Groveland and throughout the county. So we're basically doing this kind of outreach year-round.
John? Yeah, I just want to add that we've had, I believe, a couple transit meetings in Groveland with different members of the public and businesses to schools to try to develop another transportation plan for there, but certainly not ready to bring anything forward. But there has been considerable input on that subject.
And then your form, request for public, is this available online, and can it be submitted online, or do they have to print it and then bring it in or mail it?
Yeah, it's available online at tuolumnecountytransit.com under Unmet Transit Needs form on the left-hand column, and you can send it to us directly from the online medium.
Okay.
It will come directly to our inbox.
All right, perfect. Any other comments? All right, with that, I will open this to public comment. Anyone wishing to comment on the unmet transit needs, this will be that opportunity. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. With that,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes our hearing process. Staff will analyze the comments received today and bring back a full report in the December or January meeting. Of course, any actions we take will be considered in next year's budget, go into next year's transit service plan.
okay.
Thank you.
And it looks like we're on item 6, reports.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just a few reports. Yesterday I met with a group of business owners that have businesses along Highway 108 corridor, what I would consider the high country areas, including Postman, Dodge Ridge, Pinecrest area, Cold Springs area. It was hosted by the Visitors Bureau. Lisa Mayo coordinated the meeting, and Lisa got an opportunity to talk about some of the marketing they're doing of Tuolumne County and the high country areas. And I was able to talk a little bit about some of the services that we offer, more specifically the Dodge Ridge wintertime service, where we collect people here in the Sonora area and other stops along the way and go to Dodge Ridge when the snow's usable. And then I also got an opportunity to touch base with folks on potential summertime services up towards Pinecrest, which if we receive some low carbon transit dollars, we would certainly be considering that as a possible service to fund as a way of reducing carbon emissions in Tuolumne County. One of the items of interest was the closure of the pass that came up pretty extensively. Because we weren't totally prepared for that discussion, we decided to just go ahead and have a separate meeting at a later date on that. We'll invite some of the Caltrans folks up that maybe make those decisions. In the meantime, I've circulated a copy of the closure policy to Lisa, and she's going to send it out to the group, and that'll give everybody kind of a baseline of information to work on in those discussions.
Okay.
Just a question.
Okay.
Was that, the issue, was it specific to the summer closure that we had this year, or was it generic to the closure policy in general?
Well, I would say that there's a sense that there's been a change in the people that make decisions about when to close it and when to reopen it, and there seems to be a bit more of a conservative, I guess, approach to that. We're seeing more, or at least they feel that they're seeing more times when 108 is closed because a storm might be coming in the next day, and then it takes a while to get back open, and they're not seeing necessarily that level of reaction on, say, the 120 or the 4 pass. So we just want to talk through that and make sure that the people that make those decisions are aware of the impact it has on the businesses out there. But at the same time, not jeopardize safety of any of this public or workers at all.
Okay.
And I also want to talk just briefly about a couple things else. We did have a meeting a while back, and I think I've talked to you about this before, on excess lands that Caltrans has along the 108 East North Bypass 1 and 2 project areas. There's over 100 parcels in there that Caltrans still holds, and in all likelihood are excess properties that they need to sell. And we've been working with them to make that happen, and in discussing the different properties and ways to make them more attractive to buyers. They did mention a specific parcel that is on the north side of the intersection of Hess and Phoenix Lake Road. It's kind of an elliptical, it's a large elliptical shaped parcel. It's an area that when the bypass is being constructed, there's a lot of artifacts, and it's a cultural resource area. And they mentioned that there is an effort going on to turn that parcel over to the Tuolumne County Resource Conservation District, which in general we have no problem with, but more specifically the area that we do have a problem with is in our regional transportation plan, in our general plan, and our traffic impact fee program. We have had plans to extend Hess Avenue northward from that location and connect up across the Sullivan Creek and connect up with Kalamazoo Road extension, which is partly graded in at this point from an Argonauts at State project that was in process some years ago. It's an important link in our circulation system. It provides some congestion relief to future congestion that we see occurring on Greenlee Road Greenlee Road. It also provides important secondary access for residents in the Kalamazoo Basin area, and it's been included in many traffic studies and environmental impact reports for those areas. So we've looked at that with Bev Shane and Duke York, and in consideration of the cultural resources in the area, we believe a more probable alternative would be to align it with hook ramps that road rather than going right through the middle of that parcel, and there's grades and issues and other things involved, which would require a slight sliver of a parcel of that elliptical shaped parcel that they are trying to turn over to the Resource Conservation District. So we're doing outreach with the Resource Conservation District through Caltrans to see if we can come up with a local solution that works for everybody. They get the vast majority of the parcel, and we get a sliver for an easement for a future road in that area.
Okay, John? What would the Conservation District do with the property?
The Conservation District has gotten several significant parcels that Caltrans uses as mitigation when they do a big project like the bypass. They wipe out hundreds of oak trees and riparian habitat. They will identify in parcels. Oftentimes they buy those parcels, or maybe they have them in their possession, and they turn them over to the Resource Conservation District to keep it for open space and preserve that oak wood being developed at a future date.
That's what I was afraid of, because it does take it off the tax basis also once that happens.
That is identified in the general plan for future growth.
Carl? The other issue that I would need to have answered is what resources does the RCD have to maintain that space, because we just saw in the Butte fire where unmaintained space really contributed to rapid growth of that fire. So if RCD doesn't have the resources to maintain that, you can't just have open space sit there and become overgrown. So I would be very interested in what RCD's plans and resource ability for that land is in the future as well.
We'll share those thoughts with those folks when we get in the same room with them, and
Okay.
encourage them, well, we'll look for answers, and then, of course, encourage them.
Yeah, I think that's not for TCTC, obviously, but since we're engaged in the discussions, I think that the county would certainly be interested in the answers to those kinds of questions.
Right, and then, I'll speak with Bev about that a little bit. I'll make sure that she's engaged on a number of issues, including that one. Okay, moving right along on the reports. I just wanted to also mention that I was up in Sacramento at the California Association of Council of Governments, and we had an opportunity to talk about a few different things. First is SB 486, which is now law. It requires Caltrans to coordinate the SHOP program with the regions. The SHOP is what, I'm sorry for the acronym, but it's the State Highways Operation Protection Program. And it has several billion dollars a year in it each year, and it's the program that funds rehabilitation of roadways, bridges, safety projects, and operational improvements like auxiliary lanes and the like, not capacity increasing projects. And the Caltrans Director, Malcolm Doherty, committed to better communication with the regions on the development of that SHOP, specifically the next SHOP cycle, which is about 2 years away. So I'm going to do an outreach with Caltrans to see if we can't get them here at one of our subsequent meetings to just talk about the current SHOP program, what's in the planning phases, what's in design environmental, and what's in the pipeline as far as construction goes. It's a 10-year program. Many of these projects we're all well aware of, but I think it's important that they be here and talk about that program as a precursor to involvement in the 2017 SHOP cycle. Just want to mention that. And then also at CalCog, there's quite a bit of discussion on the Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities program, which is administered by the Strategic Growth Council, which is a small, somewhat obscure agency of the state. And the funds that they administer are a small portion that they get through legislation of the cap and trade funds. Some have estimated that Tuolumne County, the cap and trade on transportation generates about 10 cents a gallon. And in our county, we've had some estimates of about $3.1 to $3.6 million a year going into the cap and trade fund. This is one of the sub-recipients of those funds. In years past, when they did calls for projects, we did not meet the minimum criteria of that program for two main reasons. Number one, we didn't have the minimum density requirements, which is 20 units to the acre. I think the maximum under our general plan is 15 units to the acre. And then also, we didn't meet the minimum requirements for frequency of transit, which is every 15 minutes. Our very best services, for instance, in Sonora Route 1, is every hour. They're getting ready to change that program. We are planning on engaging and talking about that program, and I want to work with some of our elected officials like Randy that are involved in CSAC and see if we can come together on a solution that works for rural areas. Also, our partners, our neighboring counties, the Calvary, Amador, and Alpine are very interested in maybe signing on to a letter with a position. So I just want to let you know we're going to engage on that, and Mike, I've shared with you also. As I gather information, I'm going to send it to you, so maybe the chamber might also engage. And that's about it for me on reports.
Okay, Mr. Carl Baker.
Okay, not a lot today. Mr. Chairman, thank you, and thank you to Darren for, the things he reported about the coordination with Caltrans and working with the SGC, those are all awesome things, and it's good to see rural agencies being vocal and making sure their voices are heard. Closer to home, we received a request for an additional request to look at Priest Grade and the signage at the top of Priest Grade. That has been our traffic safety division is doing a safety investigation. I'm not sure how much of it was a safety concern, but if they've decided to look at it from that point of view, I think that's awesome, and we'll get some new eyes on it.
That's what I was going to give you some input on. If they are concerned whether it's a safety issue or not, just have them have lunch there, sit there on the deck and watch the traffic coming up New Priest Grade, making a hard right turn down Old Priest Grade, and almost hitting cars that are coming up Old Priest Grade. I was there the other day, and there was a bottleneck of about 5 cars. And just because nobody got hurt or an actual wreck, it was just because some good drivers were paying attention and didn't run into somebody. But that's always not going to happen. There was, I guess it's probably a year and a half ago, I sat there and had lunch with John Gedney. Darren was there. Did we have a highway patrol there at that time? I think in our lunchtime, we had somewhere around 7 or 8 cars making that turn. It's a reality that somebody is going to get hurt. The simple solution is that sign that says Yosemite with the left-hand arrow. There was one there for 35 or 40 years, a sign that used to say Groveland, Big Oak Flat 1 mile, Groveland 3 miles, and Yosemite National Park 20 or 30 miles, because the road was a lot windier at that time. But for some reason, that sign was taken out and never put back. So what you have is you have people turning right down Old Priest Grade, and then you also have people that want to go to Yosemite that are heading to Coulterville. It's just a confusing situation because there's no direction there to tell people where to go other than following their GPS machine. So simple signage would probably improve it 100% for what it is today.
So I guess the question that I have, it's the GPS that's telling people to
Yes.
turn right there?
Yes.
So, but has anyone checked Google? Is Google doing it? Or is it?
We don't know, but here's the reality. If you sit there and watch those people's eyes, they're looking. They're trying to decide which way to go. They have no reference point. If they had a sign that said Yosemite, that's where most of them are going. They're not going to Coulterville, they're going to Yosemite. So we just need something to let them know where Yosemite is and what direction, because they'll just be looking in all directions trying to figure out. They know it's not right to go back the way they came, but they do it anyway. And you'll wait 15, 20 minutes, and here they come back up the hill. So I think that's a simple solution. May not solve everything, but it certainly would create a lot less hassle than what's there right now.
Okay, so essentially the previous responses have been based on the people that work with the signage.
Never heard back. Did we ever hear back? Duke, I don't think we ever heard back.
Formal response, I actually saw somewhere after we sent letters and we heard that they were looking into it, fewer signs up there. They took signs down. There was quite a few signs at the time, and I think that's how one of those signs disappeared.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point being is this is a different set of eyes and a slightly different approach, and so, you know, it'll be a couple months, probably 3 months, 4 months before.
And if you can get it before summer, it certainly would be helpful.
And if he started a traffic safety investigation, you'll get a letter on it, so.
Carl, if you'd like to put that person in contact with me, I'd love to talk to him a little bit and maybe offer him lunch with the You sit there for
well,
30 minutes and you see it all.
You know, there's not much to do in Groveland, so people go down there to sit on the deck just to watch the stuff that happens.
But think of all the entertainment that you'll get rid of.
I know, but, then I won't have to hear about it. That'd be wonderful.
I'll mention it to Larry Hernandez is the traffic safety branch chief, so he's in charge of the investigation. And I will go talk to him and suggest that they have a system called MyoVision where they set up cameras and can watch a location. I think the problem there is you usually set up MyoVision where there's, you know, street lights and lots of poles around to attach the cameras to, and I'm not sure that there's a whole lot there to work with, but...
It would probably make the world's most funniest videos. I mean, you guys could probably make money off of it if you set it up that way.
Hey, Johnny, you know how long it took me to get those signs in Auburn?
44 years, huh?
Well, not quite. About 3 years and 10 months, so.
Well, I probably am not going to live as long as you have, Ron, so hopefully we can push it through a little faster.
I haven't forgotten
Is that on your list?
council members, for sure it's on my list. The only problem is, much higher on my list is hiring some people. So that's some other good news is we're trying to hire 2 more people for the rural branch, and hopefully that'll happen soon. And things like Councilmember Stern's request to go up to District 3 and look at the signage.
They got it in finally.
They did?
Oh, yeah.
So what, I don't have to investigate anymore?
You know, when you come out on those 2 9-foot lanes into Auburn, here's this sweeping, expansive overpass and everything. It says 49 north, you make a left, and you go wrong, and take a right, and find you another left, and you're there.
So it's
If
fixed.
he's telling you it's there.
See what's happens when you never give up.
I'm going out there in
You
a week or
asked
so.
the right guy.
It only took 44 years.
He's running for office.
All right, I think that's all I have this time around.
No additional reports?
No.
Okay. And here he comes.
Duke York, Deputy Director in charge of the roads and drainage. Whole bunch of other stuff for Tuolumne County. Not to diminish the entertainment value at the top of Old Priest Grade and State Route 120, but one of the things that you should consider, Carl, when you talk about the timing of the placement of these signs is your own bridge replacement project, which is coming very soon, and I can just imagine the frustrations that any construction delays would have, and to compound that with misdirection at the top might be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I did want to report that tonight at 6 p.m. there will be a town hall meeting in Jamestown to cover a variety of projects, including the Jamestown Sidewalks, Walk of Fame, the Preston Lane project, Roca Park improvements, give a lot of background on those projects, also Rule 28 projects, the undergrounding of the power lines, and signalization of the 5th Avenue State Route 10849 project, and of course the Rawhide Bridge crossing project. And there will be a presentation. It will go from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and we're hoping to have a great turnout for that meeting.
And when was that again, Duke?
At 6 o'clock tonight at the Jamestown Community Hall.
And it's in competition with the NDRC meeting that's also being held at 6 o'clock here tonight.
Well, I don't think the NDRC, well, I won't comment on that.
Okay. Could I add something about your I know it's out of my district, but I'm speaking in the,
No, I'm moving.
as the benefit of my 5th District friends on that 5th Avenue project. I was approached about and I have not seen the plan, and I don't think Carl's seen the plan, the final plan yet either, that there's nothing there to kind of designate it as this is kind of the gateway type thing. It's just a flat stoplight and there you go. And I don't know if you guys have any plans in that design to...
We did, the funding source does have some limitations. The gateway treatment and aesthetic treatments, we're certainly incorporating that into the Rawhide Bridge treatment with some fancier treatments on the bridge. There will be drawings showing what that's going to look like, some street lighting improvements at that location. The street light, we did get approached by Sharon Maravich of the Historic Preservation Review Committee asking for some sort of gateway feature that would involve a permit from Caltrans. It would be right there in front of the Sierra Motors is where she was proposing something, but I'm not sure that the funding source that we have for that particular improvement would include the ability to do that.
I'm just passing.
I know. We are aware of a request of a need for additional signing to direct people to Railtown. We will work on that. We will work on that. So,
Something a little more eye-catching than a sign that size that's brown that might as well be camouflaged.
well, first of all, the white on brown is
I understand.
the historic, but it would be a good sized sign because the speed limit in that area is either 40 or 45.
35. 35 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It goes to 35 miles an hour about where, what's the gun store?
Hooker's old gas station there.
Yeah.
Be by our
It go-
traders.
Yeah, around the Chevron station, it goes down to 35, and then it goes to 45 about B-Bar Y.
Yeah.
So in between B-Bar Y and the
But we
Chevron.
keep it on the 45 side, the sign gets bigger. So, well.
Okay, raise the speed limit to 65 until we get the sign, then we'll take it back down.
Make them red and white so you can read them.
Waiting for that light for how many years?
Yeah. So the signal light, as you're all aware, involves the realignment of Jamestown Road, and we are gearing it towards future sidewalk improvements at that location as well.
It'd be nice to have another stop sign in the county too.
Dick, is that just the sign, the stoplight part of the project, or is that the whole, you're going to go over the entire bridge, Fifth Avenue, Jamestown Road,
We're
that whole?
covering all of the projects, but the bridge project is separate from the traffic signal.
I understand.
So we're doing them separately, but yes, we're going to cover them all.
Okay.
That is, the purpose of it is to cover all the Jamestown projects.
And that is the project that I have seen the current plans on?
I believe you have.
Okay, thank you.
You may not have seen the aesthetic renderings, though. Those are, we're still...
I'll hold my breath.
I got a question for Duke.
Hold on, Duke.
Yeah, Ron?
I came back from Fairfax Memorial Day afternoon late. The cars were lined from the stoplight we've got now in Jamestown, clear up this side about 20 acres, in case you'd like to know. And you're gonna have another stop sign.
Well, some of the...
Coordinated.
I don't know which day you were there, but there
It was
were
the
hang-ups
evening
because
of
of some
Memorial
work on
Day.
Caltrans, too.
We all know what that's about. That's traffic volume.
Okay.
And it's
Yosemite.
And it's a function of the stoplight all the way down at O'Byrne's Ferry Road and the Yosemite Junction.
Yeah. And you have another backup in Oakdale. It's a lot of traffic getting out of here.
Okay. At the Board of Supervisors meeting on October 2nd, I realize this is old news for you gentlemen, but the Paris Ferry Road reconstruction project is moving ahead, and we did some kind of clever things as a workaround because of TUD's capital improvements in that area, and I think that the workaround that we came up with, which was to transfer some of that paving to a later date and tag it on to the Yankee Hill project, will actually benefit us in getting a better bid for the Yankee Hill job. So all of those projects are moving ahead. This coming board meeting will we'll see the signalization project at Tuolumne and Standard Road. So that's my report.
Thank you, Duke. Any other reports? No? All right. Tuolumne County Transportation Council is hereby adjourned. Thank you very much.